So we talked about the languages. Let's touch upon this one. This is interesting. This looks like a cuneiform tablet, but a more
Yeah, this is a page from a book, a
okay
stone book. And
stone book.
again, this has, yeah, it has to be translated, yes. Again, not quite in a format. Dude, I've never seen a format like this. Let me just be honest. Okay. The inscription, like I have a piece here that is a stone with cuneiform written on it, and it's in Akkadian. And this is not the format. This looks more like numbers and calculations. And for all we know, this could be a notebook on a math. I need to get my hands on a physicist so bad. This could be another form of math. And with other astrolabes, we've come across calculations out of
Hmm.
the Sagittarian system.
Okay.
So I think there's several pieces that are indicative of the type of math they used, which could also teach our mathematicians and our physicists, who knows what.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know, there's a TV series called The Man Who Fell to Earth or something like that.
ooh,
And yeah, it's a recent one. It's a remake of the 60s one. But anyway, so he's an alien, right? From an alien race, and he takes, a human body, and he's supposed to find a scientist here on Earth, a woman who is to help him build a device or something to help his world, something like that. But it's funny that, it's all like modern, but he uses cuneiform symbols like these
you
to
really?
show her how the math works. That's interesting. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's fascinating.
that was really fun, and I thought they inserted that for a purpose. She was like freaking out, like, what is this? He's like, this is math. She's like, I don't understand this. He's like, this is real math. Okay.
This is one of the reasons I put this one up was showing the cuneiform, showing the hieroglyphs. But these two on the left, oh my God, this is like candy. This is chocolate covered candy, best you ever had. This is a language where you're going, dude, what the is that? That's we gotta mess with this. Where's the computer? Um So I
So,
am going through trying to find as many fragments as I can of there's about three languages I've seen.
mhm. Of
It's
unknown origin, you're saying, right?
actually they line up with they're on in England when that UFO what is the name of that forest? When the UFO went down to the forest on the by the base and the guys got closer to look at the ship, the military guys,
Mm-hmm.
they saw I'm going to say hieroglyphs because symbols. They saw symbols on the UFO that other people have also reported that look like these.
You mean the Rendlesham?
Yes, that's one.
Okay.
Also, there have been, I want to say Linda Moulton Howe is one of the people who
Mm-hmm.
also has drawings of these symbols based on reports from other contactees or abductees.
Wow. So,
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Oh my God. Dude, these symbols are also found in crop circles.
sure.
That slide that I sent you with the crop circles, one
Mm-hmm.
is a crop circle, one's from an artifact. Just fascinating. I mean, what if these are also Rosetta Stone action for crop circles?
Wow.
Now, these crop circles are highly understudied. I mean, really, because there is a guy who actually was in the process of building a machine based on crop circle schematics, and he was a physicist.
Wow.
Okay. And then you look at other things, even I myself, I have no idea what came over me, but I decided to study the 2015 Italian Enki crop circle.
It's called
It
an
says
Enki. It's called an Enki crop circle.
it is because he wrote his name on it
Wow.
in binary. It says EA Enki on the outside of the crop circle. On the interior, there were seven triangles with indications of constellations.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that seven pointed circle was a frequency at 1.2 gigahertz.
Okay.
That happens to sit right in the middle of these communication bands between Wi-Fi and cell towers. And
Wow.
if this circle was one of those, hey, can you call me? Here's my number.
So, okay, we have one in England that is on the field. It can be seen here. Now, the
Right.
Mexican one, what is this exactly? What is this object exactly? I see it's kind of glowing. Is it
Oh,
also phosphorus?
yeah, it is one of the
Mm.
phosphorus. And I did not take this picture. It was someone else who found it. And he was just taking images. So I didn't get to see. This is most likely one of the Anubis ones. But yeah, this is only part of an artifact. When you look at the language one with the different types of glyphs, and then you see this one here, and this could be indications of
Yeah.
technology, but it also could just be the hey, can you respond back? You know, and they do
Yes.
answer.
They do what?
They do answer crop circles. When they sent out the satellite with the gold record that
Hmm.
had all this information about what humans are and all this stuff,
Hmm.
they answered in crop circle. They put a picture of themselves and they had the astrolabe looking disc that everything was written in computer code in binary that basically said, hey, this is us. We got this many DNA strings, and it was placed right next to a radio station.
And we are sitting here and saying, "Oh, no one's answering our call. There must be no aliens. It's been 60 years, blah, 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 blah."
If it got any bigger with everything they answer all the time, if it got any bigger, they'd have to come down, slap you in the face, and go, I told you I'm here. How many times do I have to say this? It's like a crazy ex chick texting you all
No,
the
the thing is that the people in the know, right? It's not like I was just gonna say that, we are looking at these pyramids with these UFOs and we freak out and say, this is crazy, this has never been seen, blah blah blah. But what I think happened is all of these artifacts were also found all over the world, and they were just
time. Yeah.
taken underground, they were hidden, went into private collections, went into scientific research, you know
And
ex-
that's
and
even if you
yeah.
consider this is what survived after a global disaster. So let's say this is only 10%, being generous,
Hmm.
only 10% of what is left of all of these global civilizations, where we connect these to the out of place artifacts.
Yeah.
The planet was hit by an asteroid in Greenland that would have spent an energy wave across the surface.
Hmm.
So you have basalt blocks in Turkey knocked over like they're Legos. That would be your impact wave. Then followed by tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, crustal displacement, which we know happened because Africa is where it is today. It wasn't there before, but the
Okay.
whole planet shook.
Okay, let's finish with the languages because it's
Yes,
fascinating. So the two on the left here are unknown languages that
correct.
people are going to be trying to decipher, and this one
Yes,
looks very in style with the crop circle one to me. It
yes.
may be
And
not, but it's similar. Yeah.
with the algorithms of AI we have today and the decryption algorithms and everything else, I am hoping with enough samples and using these other known languages, even if they're in Proto, these known languages, that we might be able to translate what they're talking about.
Wow. Now, what is
Yes,
this conical shape glowing artifact here?
that is one of those pineal gland pine cone
Oh,
things.
okay.
Yeah. Now, see, what will be interesting with this guy is figuring out how these symbols connect to each other, because you have a few different types going on in here. Some that you're just like, what does that mean? But once this is translated, especially with this thing that we see all over the place, where everybody's going, what is it? I don't know. It's connected to a pine cone. It's somehow connected to knowledge and wisdom, and who knows? For all we know, it says this Merry Christmas. But
you have pine cone, you have the eye of Horus, which is another representation of the pineal gland again.
Mhm.
And other symbols which look like the pictograms we saw before. Yes.
Right.
Mm.
And that's why it's just a tad off. We recognize the Eye of Horus, and we recognize wisdom and esoteric knowledge and all this stuff connected with that. But then you go up and you're like, dude, why is there an arrowhead here? Oh, maybe I should rotate it. Maybe it's not an arrowhead, you know? So that's where this will become very fascinating. And we're going to have to play like a bit of mix and match and put the thinking outside the box to find the correct translation.
Okay, so
Sorry.
what do we see here?
Well,
Tetrahedrons?
two of these devices, I have no idea. So let's start with the black one.
It's blue
Okay.
in my version. Is it black?
Yeah, to me, it's black. It's
Okay,
that black
okay.
stone material. It could be basalt for possibility.
You mean the
Um,
tetrahedron, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's got symbols that have no, I mean, not entirely no, but you look at it and it's like, what is this saying? So not quite sure what this thing is, why they made it, or what it's for, but it's definitely part of the technology. And going to the one in the middle, this
Mm-hmm.
guy right here, I think might have to do with portal-based technology. There's a
Okay.
lot of artifacts that have what looks like a portal.
Yeah, almost looks like a Stargate if you look at the symbols
Many.
on the rims there. It's like a Stargate.
That's Stargate. I'm glad you brought that up because there are other, even this guy right next to it. Okay, this guy right here. You want your Stargate looking depiction? This circle with the symbols on it, then it's got those same points that
Mm-hmm.
were on that Stargate depiction, which I am at a point with that entire series where I'm like, that was the thinnest veiled disclosure you guys could have popped out, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me that SG, at least SG1 is like a blatant example
It
of
is.
disclosure.
Dude, this is literally all they did was change the names of the species. I'm like, I mean, even, and not even entirely. There's one point in that show, I caught this little snippet and I just went, are you serious? There's one point in that show where they're talking to some, I don't know, alien species. And the people looked at the humans from Earth and said, oh, you're descendants of the Tauri.
Okay.
The Tauri is another name for Anunnaki.
All right. Okay.
They came from the constellation Taurus, and long ago, their people were also known as either Anuna or Tauri.
I see. Okay.
This guy right here, in my opinion, which nobody's an expert on this, so just an opinion, is a data storage device.
You mean the last one, yes? The crystal?
Yeah, yes, the one all the way on the right.
Mm-hmm.
That crystal, we are very aware of the technology of being able to store information in crystals. And if you go back about 20 years, mankind was bringing this to commercial production when they started making these crystal data storage discs. This is,
Mm-hmm.
right around CDs and DVDs, about that time frame. So they had the ability, they still have the ability to use a laser to read and write to crystal drives and
Mm-hmm.
could, in theory, use that same laser to read the data off of this guy.
You're saying this is a real storage device, not a depiction or not a symbolic.
Right.
Okay.
This is not, because, I mean, if they were just drawing it, they would have drawn it. However, this is
Mm-hmm.
crystal. Crystal, not the easiest medium to work with.
Okay.
And whoever took their laser pen, grabbed this little crystal and put a note on it and said, we did 2 hours of recording about us on this, pops it in here, it's a family. And this is a small one because the crystal storage is, by the way, to add to this, underneath South America are some of the biggest crystal tunnels that naturally grow there.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're massive. People have to go down into this cave system in hazmat suits It is
Mm.
so pressurized,
Yeah.
so hot. It has massive crystals. So these crystal skulls, these crystal storage devices, crystal technology absolutely fits.
Yes. The casing around the crystal looks almost like wooden. It's not wooden, I assume, right? It's stone.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, it's stone.
It
It is absolutely phenomenal
yeah.
carving on. I mean, that is not
Okay.
a copper chisel and hammer or rock or whatever. This is some fine work.
And also some symbols again around the ring below that look like cuneiform.
And consider how small that carving is. This is small enough to fit in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And you zoom in to look at these little tiny symbols that are on this little ring that they carved.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
see them.
that is some skill.
Yeah. Wow. So, okay, so the crystal is definitely can be a real thing, a real device. The first two maybe you think symbolic, or we just don't know.
No, actually, I think these are also technology. They used stone not just to recreate stuff, but as the primary medium for most of their construction. They were brilliant with stone. I mean, brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at these two, the I don't know what they would do, but I think these are technology. I don't think they're replicas. I don't think they're symbolism, mainly because most of these artifacts, I think there's only a few pendants that do not emit an EMF, and these do.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just pieces of stone. And today's technology does not have a way to fake that. You cannot make a stone resonate a frequency that also has an electromagnetic connection to it because people don't know how to do that.
Okay. Wow. All right. So I'm gonna tell you something. So this guy that I interviewed, John Whitberg,
Mhm.
you were in Project Stargate, right?
I
Uh,
was.
he was in a similar project, a time travel project.
Hmm.
And what they did was they actually went to Egypt to I think it was the 1800s, something like that, back in time. He said that they were digging a shit ton of these small pyramids there, and they considered those valuable. They considered those to be technology. That's what he told me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm not even surprised on the technology because with the amount of stuff coming out of South America and cocaine mummy connection and Thoth, the time travel thing, dude, I'm not even flinching on that because I heard so many rumors amongst, former projects people, which is basically short term, former SAPs,
Hmm.
is that this time travel thing is not even a joke. People
Yeah.
talk about it like it's frivolous, but it is wholly legit. And
Yeah.
I don't know too much about it, but I do know that when you come across somebody who's time traveled, there will be a time differential you'll experience with them.
Right. What I'm saying though is that these are the pyramids here are considered, at least those that they were digging up in Egypt. And I'm not saying Egypt like, crypto kind of Egypt. They were going to the Valley of Queens, they were going to Luxor, they were going to
Right.
Giza, they were going to Memphis, these four places that they went to, and were digging there. And so this is one corroboration. Another corroboration is another, secret space program insider, Randy Kramer, said that
Yes.
the he said that they were often sent on missions on different planets even
Hmm.
to get artifacts. And he said sometimes it would
Yeah.
be a small pyramid. And this was something that's considered, valuable enough to send soldiers to get.
Yep.
And those were like those had like scientific meaning. So yeah.
On that, I can add to it to say I had an off-world contract. It was a 24-month contract on a planet called Soren. One of the reasons I got that contract was because in school, I had been working on this in university. I had been working on this theory regarding a progenitor species that would have predated
Mhm.
these alien species. And that's what got me to go on, on the contract for that planet, which was just a planetary survey. You know, I was just a contractor. I was not a soldier. So part of the planetary survey and why Soren was so important was it was a desert. It is a desert planet with a lot of volcanic activity, and the cave systems deep within that planet were older than Earth.
Hmm.
And we were looking for artifacts or potential bone samples indicative of a progenitor species that would have lived underground on Soren.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm wondering, like, do you have any inkling about what kind of technology may these pyramids contain?
With these little ones, you know, considering the way they're put together, I'm thinking it's actually history. I
Okay.
mean, the technology is like data storage to where a lot of these, again, this is going to be my opinion. A lot of these are very indicative of a consciousness technology, the same type of technology the Anuna use, which most likely was shared amongst everybody because we see multiple species working together. So I think these technologies made of stone are consciousness based, meaning they will require a telepathic connection, and then they will start data dumping, you know, the history, because that's the purpose.
Okay.
Syrians teach the same way, using that telepathic connection and then bringing in images and memories so that you learn that way. So for all we know, this could be a teaching device for students, for example.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you log on to it with your consciousness, and then you get an information download, basically like a data disk
Right.
or a Wi-Fi connector.
Yeah, it's actually a good way to put it. It's like a Bluetooth for biology. One of the
Yeah.
things we have found with most of these ancient technologies is that humans are only mildly compatible. So and I do know for a fact that the technologies we have pulled out of Mexico are being experimented with.
Hmm.
And so far, this is one of the reasons why they're holding on to it, is basically the people who have gone and experimented do not understand consciousness technologies. They are not trained psychics. And you also need to have this genetic factor.
Sure.
The hybrid neurology is, which humans are hybrids, and their neurology is not as strong as, you know, a pure-blooded species that has been around for who knows how long. You know, they've had time to strengthen their genetics,
Yeah.
and they have stronger psychic abilities with bigger pineal glands. So yeah, you got these, you know, basically toddlers species trying to learn how to drive the car, and they're just not ready for it yet.
Sure. Wow. Okay. So we talked about the technology then. I heard you say something about the DNA, the what we call the DNA symbol is not being the DNA symbol or something.
Yes, the caduceus. Like this guy right here. This guy's super easy to misinterpret. Super. You know, with today's understanding, people are going to go, oh, look, these two species, they were doing genetic manipulation because we
Right.
have a caduceus there.
Right.
Except that's not what the caduceus means. This is a piece that is showing a trade agreement. These two are doing business.
Wow.
And the caduceus was part of prosperity, good fortune, and trade, and that type of thing. You know, it's
Mm.
good luck in business type thing, to put it briefly. And this is two different species. This very well could be a treaty written on this between two different species. And
Hmm.
this is why I hold that this region that we're looking at, the Gulf of Mexico, surrounded by pyramids with Bimini Road and pieces like this, are very indicative of a trade port.
Okay. Well, you're saying this is two different species. I see them as same.
Oh,
Uh,
look at, you have this tentacle face guy on the right,
yeah.
and his skull is slightly shaped different. And then the guy on the left has slightly narrow, longer, and not so much tentacle the face.
Well, for me, it's like, potato, potato, potato. I don't know.
You're like they're aliens being friendly with each other.
No,
It's
no, no. I'm
weird.
not. I'm seeing two. I'm seeing like same shape of heads. Maybe the guy on the left maybe has an extra pair of wings or something, or maybe a pair of wings that is like up in the air, and the right one just has them down. Okay. But anyway, yeah. Okay, got it. So this is indicative of a trading situation, not the genetic manipulation type thing. Okay,
But we
that's
do
interesting.
have artifacts that are indicative of genetic manipulation. When you have, like, there is one image, I'm not sure if I sent it to you. It has on one side a reptilian face, on the other side, a different species face, kind of looks gray.
Mhm.
And that is indicative of genetic manipulation.
Okay.
So we know it did happen. It's just not the caduceus everybody thinks it is.
Yes. It's interesting how people interpret things. Okay, so
Right.
this one, do you know what this is?
This is another thing recently found that is, they have a lot of board games, legitimately. These
Oh,
people loved. We found chess boards there. This looks like it could be a game.
okay. Interesting.
I know, not as impressive as the other ones where you're like, well, it could be a portal. No, I think this is a board game.
Just a board game. Yeah, it's an interesting mixture of like a consciousness-based civilization, and we think of technology as being, really refined and cool looking, but they have the stone objects that look really rough and ancient, and like, what I mean is you wouldn't think of them as some really advanced civilization, but that may be deceiving, if you.
I think I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
the reason we see the stone objects so much is because logistics.
yeah,
If you're going to a whole new world that is nothing that you're used to, you're not going to bring all this stuff with you because to build a colony, you're not going to bring everything. That would be just overwhelming. You get to the world, you see what their resources are, and you go, okay, look, man, these people got stone everywhere. Let's take some liquefy, pour it into basically cement, and
mm-hmm.
repurpose instead of bringing tons and tons of metal, taking forever mining all this stuff when stone's on the surface. And there are statues that show muscle tendons, it's a new word, that show muscles and tendons and fabric textures and very fine details that you look at this, and I mean out of Egypt there's no way somebody took, again, a copper chisel and went, I'm just going to give this guy a super leg muscle. It's they definitely knew what they were doing. They knew how to smooth it, and they treated it like it was super malleable. So these people were stone masters, and not surprised that they built, pyramids out of stone, everything out of stone, because stone was everywhere. Still
Yeah.
is.
Okay, look at this. This is crazy. This is like a church, the frescoes on the walls.
Oh, yes.
But it's crazy. I mean, it's an angel.
With a UFO in the background and a planet above that. You got some other planets right below his left arm.
Mm-hmm.
And the four-wing depiction we also see in the Mesopotamian. You see four-wing versions of people, and you see two-wing versions of people.
Yeah. So what do you know what the four wings as opposed to two wings mean?
Nope.
No?
I
Okay.
don't think anybody's figured that out. Yeah, it's at one point I was like, well, maybe this dude's pure blood and maybe this guy's some kind of hybrid, but I have no idea.
Go
Most
ahead.
standard response is that the wings are symbolic of that they came from the skies.
Yeah.
Dude, not really.
Like a starfaring species or a flying capability species.
Мы копали, копали и копали. И открыли тайну сфинкса.
It was a strange night.
So many different forms and colors. It looks like the work of some psychedelic artist. But it's the universe that we live in.
Мы копали, копали и копали.
It's extraordinary. So many different forms and colors. It looks like the work of some psychedelic artist. But it's the universe that we live in.
И открыли тайну сфинкса.